I never expected my marriage to reach this point. I had spent the last 10 years believing I had built something strong, something unshakable. My wife, Emily, and I had met in college, back when life felt simpler. We went through everything together, first jobs, financial struggles, and eventually, the kind of stability that many couples dream about. Emily had always been the more social one, always making plans, laughing easily, and charming everyone in the room. I, on the other hand, was more reserved. I worked long hours in corporate finance, often bringing work home, ensuring that we had the kind of life we both wanted. I thought we were happy. I thought she was happy. Looking back, I should have noticed the signs earlier. The late nights, the unexplained weekend trips, the sudden shift in her behavior. But love makes you blind. It all started with something innocent, a misplaced envelope among our monthly bills. I had come home from work late, exhausted as usual, when I noticed a stack of unopened mail on the kitchen counter. Emily was out with friends, or at least that's what she had told me. As I sorted through the envelopes, a small, folded receipt fell onto the floor. I reached down, barely paying attention, until I saw the name of a hotel printed across the top. My stomach twisted as I unfolded it, my hands suddenly unsteady. Grand Terrace Hotel, room 314. 2 nights, paid in full. I stared at the receipt, my mind racing. Why would Emily book a hotel room? Our home was beautiful, comfortable. If she needed a break, she could have told me. And why hadn't she mentioned anything about a trip? I told myself there had to be an explanation. Maybe it was for a friend. Maybe she was planning a surprise for me. I clung to those possibilities, desperate for a logical reason. But deep down, something felt off. The first thing I did was check my messages. No texts about a trip, no mentions of a hotel stay. My heart pounded in my chest as I scrolled through our past conversations, searching for anything that might explain this. Nothing. I checked the date on the receipt, just 3 weeks ago. That was when she told me she had a weekend retreat with some of her old college friends. I remembered she had been unusually vague about it, not sending me her usual pictures or updates. At the time, I hadn't thought much of it. Now, I was questioning everything. My hands trembled as I opened my laptop. I logged into our shared bank account, clicking through transactions. My stomach clenched when I found the charge, $480.00, Grand Terrace Hotel. Emily had paid for this herself. A wave of nausea hit me. If this was some kind of gift or surprise, why had she never mentioned it? I forced myself to think rationally. I needed more information before jumping to conclusions. I took a deep breath and called her. "Hey, babe," she answered, her voice cheerful. "I'm out with Julie. What's up?" I hesitated for a moment. "Oh, nothing. Just got home. How's your night going?" "It's great. We're just finishing dinner. Want me to bring you anything?" I swallowed hard, trying to keep my voice casual. "No, I'm good. Hey, that retreat you went to a few weeks ago, where did you guys stay again?" She paused for half a second. It was subtle, but I noticed. That little cabin near the lake, remember?" "What?" I clenched my jaw. That was not what the receipt said. My grip tightened around my phone. "No reason. Just trying to remember." She chuckled lightly. "I sent you pics, didn't I?" She hadn't. I forced a smile into my voice. "Yeah, maybe. I'll check later. Have fun." As soon as I hung up, I knew. Something was wrong. I couldn't just let it go. I went into our bedroom and started searching through her drawers. Emily had never been the most organized person, so it didn't take long to find a second receipt, another hotel. Different name, different city. This one was from 6 months ago. A sickening realization settled over me. This wasn't just one lie. This was a pattern. I sat on the edge of the bed, gripping the receipts so tightly they crumpled in my fists. The woman I had loved for 10 years, the woman I had built a life with, was hiding something from me. And whatever excuse she had, I knew it wouldn't be enough. I wasn't the type to react impulsively. If I confronted her now, she'd just deny it. I needed more proof, and I was going to find it. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, my mind replayed the moment I found the receipts. The way Emily hesitated when I asked her about her trip. The fact that she had outright lied to me. By morning, my exhaustion had been replaced by cold determination. If Emily had been sneaking around behind my back, I needed more than just hotel receipts. I needed undeniable proof. I started with her phone. Emily was always careful with her phone, keeping it either in her hand or tucked away in her bag. But she wasn't home yet. I took my chance and grabbed it from the nightstand, my heart pounding. Locked. I took a deep breath and typed in her usual passcode. Our anniversary. Wrong. I tried her birth date. Wrong again. She had changed it. A chill ran down my spine. Why would she suddenly change her passcode if she had nothing to hide? I put the phone back exactly how I found it and sat on the bed, running a hand down my face. If I wanted to get to the bottom of this, I needed to be smarter. That's when I remembered something. Emily had an old tablet she barely used anymore. If she had synced her accounts, I might still be able to access her messages. I rummaged through the drawers in the office until I found it. My hands shook as I turned it on. No passcode. I navigated to her messages and email, scanning through everything. At first, there was nothing suspicious, just normal conversations with friends, work emails, reminders. But then I saw it. A message thread from a number not saved in her contacts. Unknown number. I can't wait to see you again. Last night was amazing. Emily. I know, I miss you already. Unknown number. Same room, next weekend? Emily, yes. But we have to be careful. My stomach twisted as I scrolled further. More messages, more confirmations of secret meetings. There were no names, just a single initial. C. Who the hell was C? I gritted my teeth, my pulse hammering in my ears. My hands clenched into fists as I realized the truth. Emily wasn't just sneaking away for a night here and there. This was an ongoing affair. My jaw tightened. This wasn't just some mistake. She hadn't slipped up one night and regretted it. She had been lying to me for months. And worst of all, she didn't even seem to feel guilty about it. I needed to know who C was. My mind raced through the possibilities. A coworker? A friend? Someone from her gym? If they were meeting at hotels, they were being careful. That meant it probably wasn't someone obvious. I decided to check her social media. Emily wasn't overly active online, but she did post from time to time. I scanned through her recent posts, looking for anything suspicious. That's when I saw it. A group photo from 2 weeks ago. A dinner party with some of our mutual friends. Emily stood in the middle, smiling like nothing was wrong. And right next to her was Chris. Chris was an old friend of hers. They had known each other since college. I had never suspected him before, but looking at the photo now, I felt sick. I zoomed in. Emily's hand rested on Chris's knee. A small detail, easy to overlook. But now that I knew what I was looking for, it was glaringly obvious. Chris was C. I felt my blood turn to ice. Chris was married. He had a wife, a family, and yet, he was the one sneaking around with mine. I gripped the tablet so hard my fingers ached. Anger surged through me, raw and unchecked. But I forced myself to stay calm. I had proof now. I wasn't going to confront Emily just yet. Not until I had everything I needed to expose her and Chris both. I needed a plan. The next evening, I told Emily I had a last-minute work trip. She didn't question it. In fact, she seemed almost relieved. That's how I knew she had plans. I packed a bag, pretended to leave, and then parked my car a few blocks away. If Emily was planning to meet Chris, I was going to catch her in the act. Sure enough, an hour later, she left the house. She wasn't dressed like someone going to see her girlfriends. She was dressed for him. I followed her. She drove straight to the Grand Terrace Hotel, the same one from the receipt. My grip tightened on the steering wheel as I watched her walk inside, her phone in her hand, texting, probably letting him know she was here. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. Then I followed. I walked up to the front desk, keeping my voice calm. Hi. I think my wife just checked in. Emily Carter. Can you remind me which room she's in? The receptionist glanced at the computer screen. Room 314, sir. My stomach twisted. I already knew that was the room number. But hearing it confirmed sent a fresh wave of anger through me. I took the elevator up. My hands were shaking, but I wasn't backing down. I reached room 314 and knocked. No answer. I knocked again. A moment later, I heard shuffling from inside. A hushed voice. Then, after a pause, the door opened just a crack. Emily stood there, her face pale. She wasn't alone, and I was about to make sure she regretted every single lie. Emily's face went pale the moment she saw me. She hesitated, gripping the edge of the door like she could somehow keep me out. Nathan, what are you doing here? Her voice wavered. I didn't answer. I pushed the door open and stepped inside. That's when I saw him. Chris was sitting on the edge of the bed, his shirt unbuttoned, looking like he had just scrambled to fix himself. His eyes widened in panic. Nathan, man, listen. I cut him off with a sharp laugh. No, Chris. You listen. I pulled the hotel receipts from my pocket and tossed them onto the bed. They fluttered onto the sheets, landing between them like evidence at a crime scene. Emily's hand flew to her mouth. Chris's face drained of color. I know everything, I said, my voice deadly calm. The hotel stays, the secret texts, the lies. And now I have you two right where I want you. Emily took a step forward, her hands trembling. Nathan, please, it's not what you think. I laughed again. Not what I think. Are you serious, Emily? Do you think I'm blind? Do you think I'm stupid? Chris tried to get up. Look, man, we didn't mean for this to happen. I turned on him. Shut up. His mouth snapped shut. I wasn't going to let them gaslight me. Not after everything. Emily's eyes filled with tears. Nathan, I was going to tell you. My stomach twisted in disgust. Oh, really? When? After the next hotel stay? Or were you planning to keep sneaking around until I caught you like this? She had no answer. Chris stood there, looking at the floor like a coward. I clenched my fists. Every fiber of my being wanted to knock him out. But I had something better planned. I took out my phone. Emily's breath hitched. What are you doing? I held it up so they could both see. I recorded everything. The texts. The receipts. And now, I gestured at them. This is just the final piece of proof. Chris looked like he might be sick. Nathan, man, don't do anything crazy. I smirked. Crazy? No. Crazy would be me doing nothing. Emily's voice cracked. Please, Nathan, we can talk about this. I shook my head. No, you talk. Right now? Tell me why. Give me a reason. Make me understand how you could do this to me. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Chris shifted uncomfortably. Look, it just happened. I let out a bitter laugh. Right? It just happened. And what about your wife, Chris? Does she know? Chris flinched. Emily turned to him, confused. Wait, you haven't told her. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, he didn't tell his wife either? What a shock. Chris swallowed hard. Nathan, man, don't bring my wife into this. I tilted my head. Oh, but your wife deserves to know. Just like I deserve to know what my wife was doing behind my back. Chris started to say something, but I cut him off. In fact, she's about to find out. Right now. I pulled up my contacts and tapped his wife's name. Chris lunged toward me. No, wait. I stepped back, holding up a hand. Touch me, and I'll make sure this goes public. Chris froze. The phone rang. Once. Twice. Then. Hello. Chris's wife's voice came through the speaker. I stared directly at Chris and Emily as I spoke. Hey, Sarah. I think you need to come to the Grand Terrace Hotel. Room 314. Right now. Silence. Then. What? What? I didn't break eye contact. Because I just caught your husband in bed with my wife. A sharp inhale. Then the line went dead. Chris turned pale. Nathan, what the hell did you just do? I slipped my phone back into my pocket. I made sure you faced the same betrayal I did. Emily shook her head frantically. Nathan, you didn't have to do that. I shot her a cold look. Oh, I absolutely did. A tense silence filled the room. Chris looked like he was going to pass out. Emily wiped her eyes, breathing hard like she was struggling to hold herself together. I took one last look at them, two pathetic, guilty cheaters standing in the wreckage of their lies. Then I turned and walked out. I had done what I came here to do, and I wasn't looking back. I stepped out of the hotel room, my heart pounding in my chest. The air outside felt heavier than before, like the weight of everything I had just done was settling on my shoulders. But I didn't regret it. Not one bit. As I walked down the hallway, I heard Emily's muffled voice behind the door, frantic and desperate. She was probably begging Chris to fix things before his wife arrived. Too late for that. I reached the elevator and pressed the button. Ding. The doors opened, and I stepped inside. Just before the doors closed, I saw a familiar figure walking toward the hallway. Sarah, Chris's wife. Her face was tense, her hands clutching her phone. She hadn't seen me yet, but I knew exactly where she was headed. I didn't say a word. I just watched as the elevator doors slid shut. Let them deal with their mess. The aftermath begins. By the time I got outside, the cold night air hit me like a wave. I took a deep breath, filling my lungs, trying to shake off the emotions twisting inside me. Anger, betrayal, relief, but mostly, satisfaction. I pulled out my phone and checked my messages. Nothing from Emily. She was probably too busy trying to control the damage. Good. I slid into my car, gripping the steering wheel, and let my head rest against the seat. For the past few weeks, I had been drowning in suspicion, self-doubt, and heartbreak. Now, I had my answers, and I had delivered justice. I wasn't done, though. Not even close. I had a plan. A plan that would make sure Emily never forgot what she had done to me. The chaos unfolds. The next morning, my phone lit up with dozens of messages. Emily. Nathan, please, we need to talk. Emily. I know you're mad, but please just hear me out. Emily. It's not what you think. I was confused. I made a mistake. Emily. You didn't have to involve Sarah. Do you have any idea what you've done? I smirked. Oh, I knew exactly what I had done. I ignored her messages and scrolled down. Sarah had texted me too. Sarah, thank you for telling me. Sarah, I confronted Chris. He admitted everything. Sarah, we're done. I'm filing for divorce. Sarah, if you ever want to talk, let me know. I exhaled. I didn't know Sarah well, but I knew she didn't deserve this either. At least now, she could move on, just like I planned to. I went to Emily's texts again and started typing. Me. There's nothing to talk about, Emily. We're done. I'll be filing for divorce. Don't bother trying to fix this. I hit send and tossed my phone onto the table. No more second chances. No more excuses. A few hours later, there was a knock at my door. I knew who it was before I even opened it. Emily stood there, her eyes red and puffy from crying. Nathan, please. Her voice cracked. Can we talk? I crossed my arms. Talk about what, Emily? How you lied to my face. How you snuck around behind my back. Tears streamed down her face. I made a mistake. I was confused. It didn't mean anything. I cut her off with a bitter laugh. Oh, so all those hotel stays? The secret texts? None of that meant anything. She flinched. I took a step forward, my voice cold. You didn't just cheat, Emily. You destroyed us. And the worst part? You thought you could get away with it. She sobbed, shaking her head. I don't want to lose you, Nathan. I love you. I clenched my jaw. No, Emily. You love the idea of me, but not enough to stay loyal. She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. Please, Nathan. I'll do anything. I shook my head. It's over, Emily. We're done. She crumbled, sinking onto my doorstep, sobbing into her hands. I should have felt bad, but I didn't. This was her mess, and she was finally facing the consequences. I stepped back inside and shut the door. She wasn't my problem anymore. Moving forward. Over the next few days, I started making the necessary moves. Divorce papers? Filed. Locks? Changed. Our shared accounts? Cleared. Emily tried reaching out a few more times, but I ignored her. I was done being the fool. Word about the affair had spread fast. Our mutual friends? They all took my side. Emily's family was furious with her. Chris had been kicked out of his house. His wife was divorcing him, too. 2 cheaters. 2 ruined lives. And me? I was finally free. For the first time in months, I felt at peace. This wasn't the ending I had imagined for my marriage. But maybe, just maybe, it was the one I needed. I stood in my empty living room, staring at the divorce papers on the table. My name was neatly signed at the bottom, sealing the end of a marriage I had once thought would last forever. The silence in the house felt different. For weeks, it had been heavy, suffocating. But now, it felt peaceful, like a weight had finally been lifted off my chest. Emily was gone. Her belongings? Packed up and delivered to her parents' house. Her presence? Erased from my life. For the first time in years, I could finally breathe. I picked up my phone and scrolled through the messages I had ignored. Emily, I miss you. Emily, I don't know how to live without you. Emily, please, Nathan, just talk to me. I didn't respond. She wasn't my problem anymore. Instead, I opened a different conversation. Sarah, how are you holding up? I thought about it for a moment, then typed back. Me. Better than I expected. Because it was true. A week later, I heard through the grapevine that Emily's life was falling apart. Chris had been fired from his job. His wife had cleaned out their bank account and kicked him out. His reputation? Destroyed. And Emily? Well, nobody wanted anything to do with her. Her friends had abandoned her. Her parents were ashamed of her. She had lost everything because of her own choices. I didn't feel bad for her. She had made her bed. Now she had to lie in it. A few days later, I ran into Emily by accident. I was at a coffee shop, minding my own business, when she walked in. She looked different. The confident, put-together woman I had once known was gone. In her place stood someone who looked lost and broken. Her eyes met mine, and for a moment, she hesitated. Then, slowly, she walked over. Nathan, she whispered. Can we talk? I leaned back in my chair, studying her. What is there to talk about, Emily? She swallowed hard, her hands trembling. I I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I raised an eyebrow. Sorry for what, exactly? Tears welled up in her eyes. For everything. For lying. For betraying you. For taking you for granted. I never realized what I had until I lost it. I exhaled slowly. She looked truly remorseful. But it didn't change anything. I'm not angry anymore, Emily. I said, my voice calm. But I don't forgive you either. What you did, it destroyed us. She wiped her tears, nodding. I know. I just wish I could take it back. I shook my head. Life doesn't work that way. Silence stretched between us. Then, she asked the question I knew was coming. Do you think we could ever try again? I let out a bitter laugh. Emily, do you really think I'd ever take you back? Her face crumbled. I miss you, Nathan. I miss us. I stared at her for a moment, then said the words that would finally set me free. There is no us anymore. She sucked in a shaky breath, her lower lip trembling. And with that, I stood up, tossed a few bills on the table, and walked away, leaving her sitting there, alone. That night, I sat on my balcony, looking out at the city lights. Everything had changed. I had lost my marriage. I had been betrayed by someone I once trusted with my life. But somehow, I felt at peace. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't weighed down by lies, deceit, or heartbreak. I was free. My phone buzzed, pulling me from my thoughts. Sarah, hey, I was thinking, do you want to grab dinner sometime? I smiled. Maybe this was the start of something new. Maybe, just maybe, the worst thing that had ever happened to me was leading me towards something better. And I was finally ready to find out.